Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. It is Christmas Day, hence the lovely green and red combination here on the wrist. And I'm going to get around to a video on the ZT640. So this knife came out, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And it was a rather unexpected release from Zero Tolerance. Essentially there was no news, there was no indication that it was coming, and then they started hinting at a new knife coming out. They did the full reveal, and pretty much a week later, give or take, dealers had these in stock and they were already shipping out. So definitely a different approach as opposed to, you know, showing off all the new models at SHOT Show, let's say, and then having it take, you know, months and months for those models to come out. So kind of a curious way to do it, where we reveal it a week later, you have it in hand. I'm sure that made, you know, the knife enthusiast community probably happier by and large, because a lot of people do complain that something's revealed and it takes a long time to come out. But then if you don't show anything new at the shows, no one's really talking about you. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. You have to show something, you have to build up some momentum at these shows, but then if you show too much and it takes too long to come out, people are unhappy. So I don't know, difficult balancing act. I'm glad I don't have to deal with any of that sort of thing. So ZT640, an Ernest Emerson design based on, I believe, a knife called the Viper. I was looking through the Ernest Emerson website, and I think he made the Viper model up until 2013. Let me double check. He has a post up in his blog in November of 2013 where he talks about retiring the Viper model. So I think that's what it's based on. Obviously, it's been out of production for a while, I think. And again, I'm not an Ernest Emerson history aficionado, so I think the Vipers are fairly collectible and fairly valuable. But regardless of which, I would much rather have a ZT-made Emerson than an actual Emerson. But yeah, so the thing that makes this model different as compared to a lot of ZTs as of late is it is going back to phosphor bronze washers. And then it uses a thumb disc in lieu of a flipper tab or, you know, thumb studs or any of those sorts of things. So, you know, kind of a back to basics type of approach. I don't think there have been any Emerson flippers from ZT yet. They had the Tonto and yeah, I don't think there have been. So anyways, kind of an interesting knife. Now, one of the areas of contention has been the colored carbon fiber. A lot of people don't seem to quite like this color. I'm completely neutral. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm just kind of middle of the road. So, but I think that to a degree has overshadowed what an excellent design this knife is. So let's talk about specs real quick, and then I'll get into kind of what I really like about the design. So a few size comparisons. Let's grab the Spyderco Para 2. We have the Kershaw Dividend, and Kershaw's actually done quite a few Emerson designs in the budget knives here. So we have a blade length of 3.75, blade thickness of 156 thousandths, so pretty standard as far as blade stocks go. Handle length is 4.75, and overall is 8.5 inches. So definitely a full-size knife. Does weigh in at 4.4 ounces, which is pretty impressive for, you know, a knife in the 8.5 inch range. So let's see, what other size comparisons do we have. Ooh, another knife that this compares favorably against is the ZT0562. 3.5 versus 3.75. You can probably see the differences in the blade length right there. And then one more is going to be the Chris Reeve Sebenza 21 large. So size-wise compares pretty comparable to the Sebenza there. So anyways, so those are the specs. You know, again, I think that this is actually a really, really good design. You know, as much as people love flippers running on bearings, and I'm certainly one of them, there's probably an equal or perhaps even larger audience who like washers and they like thumb discs and they like thumb studs. You know, they're just not as vocal. So I think it's good to try and appease a lot of different buyers by, again, releasing some with flippers, some with not. So simplicity, obviously we've got the phosphor bronze. ZT does a really good bronze. This knife is very, very smooth, but the overall design itself is quite exceptional. Super clean, very simple, neutral grip. Some knives that this compares favorably against in terms of just a simplistic design language are going to be like the Shirogorov F95, and then, again, the Chris Reeves Sabenza here. So, if you want to talk about, kind of timeless designs that'll, well, survive the test of time, essentially, I think this knife fits in quite well. And, again, if they do come out with more different colors of carbon fiber on this model, or people get over the fact that they may or may not like the green, this design has the ability to really stick around for a long time in the ZT lineup, just because of how simple and clean it is. So, and at 3.75 inches, there's an opportunity to do a 3.25 inch version as well, assuming that it's, well received or popular enough at some point. So, yeah. So those are my main thoughts. It's super clean design if you can get over, the green carbon fiber, or if it doesn't bother you at all. Very usable, very flickable. Just really, really nice fit finish on my specific example overall. So now this little protrusion here, this is just for locking into the stop pin here on the knife. But if you hit it right, which apparently I may or may not do on camera here, you can front flip this thing. So basically I'm pushing this back and around using the side of my thumb, which leads me to, I would love to see ZT do a front flipper at some point, see how they're able to execute that. So I've been pretty consistently able to open this knife with a, well, not anymore, obviously. It is a little bit taxing though. It's not very comfortable, as it's not meant to be open that way, but again, if you try hard enough at something, you'll definitely get it. All right, let's look at it in a little more detail here. So flat grind, beautiful simple blade shape. The thumb disc has some really nice clean milling on it, and it's been quite secure. It hasn't loosened or moved around on me at all. It's very reliable for the opening. Torx Hardware. This is a green and black carbon fiber. Take a look at the titanium frame, and these would be considered overlays. This would be considered a frame lock, and at least that's how I classify it. I like that all the hardware is black, so it blends well. You've got your standard 3-screw Emerson style clip. One thing on the clip, it does not work well with jeans, and this for me is a jeans knife, so I am going to replace the clip with a different one. I asked my friend Adam to make me a clip. We'll see when and if he gets to it. In the meantime, I might look for some of the other brands. The steel flame clips will fit. There are a bunch of clips on the Emerson website that are aftermarket that you can get. MXG gear, what is it, like Lynch? Lynch makes some clips too. So anyways, there's a bunch of different options out there, but it's just not enough space for jeans for me. So, and then the hexagon shaped pivot is captured in the carbon fiber here. So that's pretty much it. The centering is nice and spot on. The lockup is very solid. It's gone through, it's not going anywhere. So yeah, but it works well. I like it. Now, one thing, I did take this apart and I cleaned it and I lubricated it with my standard, which was CLP, which is just a gun cleaner lubricant. It didn't really function well with the CLP. It was a little bit too thin, and then I went over and I tried, this knife Pivot Lube, which again is just a 15 weight, and it got very, very smooth on that. So definitely go with 15, a little bit more thicker type of lubricant on these washer models. So yeah, there's that. And then since it does run on washers, it is more sensitive to the pivot adjustment. So this is definitely something where you're going to want to get a little bit of blue Loctite on the pivot screw when you put it in there. Find the perfect spot, dial it in, let the Loctite cure for 24 hours, and then you're good to go. If you over tighten this pivot, with the washers here, it's definitely not going to be smooth. It's going to be difficult to open. So, you know, again, and that's the case with all washer knives. You may have to kind of tinker with a little bit to get the exact friction, or, you know, get it to the sweet spot where you have no blade play, but it's still easy to open and nice and smooth. So, you know, but again, from an ergonomic standpoint, very comfortable in the hand, neutral grip. It's got a little bit, you know, the cutout here for the lock bar, which is very nicely done, very comfortable to get to. Also kind of locks the first finger in a little bit. So again, those neutral grips are going to be a little bit more hand size friendly. You know, and I mentioned earlier that it does compare quite favorably against the ZT-0562 in terms of what could be a nice timeless design. This has certainly been a fan favorite. It took everything from the original ZT-560, which broke the internet essentially, and it kind of distilled it down into a very usable function and format. So, you know, for in the $240, $250 range, these are two of the best options that you can get. And, you know, you have a choice between bearings and a flipper tab, or washers and a thumb disc. And again, you're gonna have people on both sides of the fence that want one or the other, or if you're like me, you want both. So yeah. Let's see what else we want to talk about with this one. So, standoffs here. We've got two different standoffs. I'm sure those can be swapped if you want to, you know, customize this thing a little bit. You can always have some aftermarket scales made. There are a lot of guys who make scales. Just be careful who you're dealing with. But again, love the design. Super clean, super simple, timeless. Emerson designs some outstanding knives, and I think this is certainly one of those designs, which is why they picked it up. So yeah, that is the ZT 640, you know, as I see it. So we'll see if they come out with other colors of carbon fiber for this specific model. Perhaps they'll come out with a 3.25-inch version, which again, I think the design merits to appease large and small. And this thing is running nice and smooth here on the phosphor bronze washers. So yep, new clip, I'll get it when I get it, and I guess that's about it. So comments, questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.